Record. Yes. Oh my god. We did it. Wow. Hi everyone. It's Starlight here. Starlight Shamsi. And I'm coming to you on this Goddess Day, on this Friday, to share something with you that maybe y'all have seen before, because it's actually from back in the day. We've got some dead name shit on here. I mean, I'm not scared. I talk to dead people and I love all my names. If you know my old name, just keep it. It's in your heart. It's a key to my heart. So, yeah. I have the Starflower book today. This is like a beautiful artist book that I made actually back in 2021. Yeah, definitely came out. Like the print and all of that I made was stuff I made during 2020, and the writing and the journey and all of that. And then I put it together. I made a series of a bunch of these books. I have like 6 of them left. They're all hand bound, of a series of block prints. I believe it was 40 block prints that I made. Yeah, the series is 40. And I made those and then wrote an essay about the process and made a bunch of other little block prints. So this is a block print series. You see here like the black print. I printed them on top of watercolors, and then I made other little block prints like to adorn the process like after. So this is like layers. This is layers cosmologies. Like, I feel like I need to repeat that process just so it's like extra clear. But basically, I made a series of 40 watercolor drawings, watercolor paintings. And then I made this block print, Baraka Baraka Baraka, with the Starflower on it. And then I printed that block print on the watercolor, like all to make a series of 40 basically. Oh my god, Peanut just got stuck in my recording mic. We got out, Peanut? There we go. Very silly. You want to come say hi? Okay, come say hi. Oh, my silly girl. She says hi. No. I love you. I love you. You want to read and listen to the Starflower? Okay, you just want to go? Okay. Anyway. So I made this series of prints. And I knew I wanted to make like a book with this series, like so that you could like look at all of them, because the individual prints, you know, they're here and they're there. People have bought some. A lot of them burned in the fire when my house burned down. I actually have some of those still too, which I might even grab out. Like, if we're going to be in story time, might as well be in full story time. Starflower story time. It was during that grounding period in like, you know, early lockdown pandemic, and I was home at Hatch Workshop in Stockton, Miwok, Yokuts land, and really like was spending that time that I was kind of like unexpectedly ground in my hometown after years of being elsewhere, to ground into like community there in Stockton, as well as into myself and into my roots. I was really grateful to like intersect with the work of Leila Fagali, who's become one of my teachers. Actually, her book is right here, The Land in Our Bones, and she offers ancestral remembrance. And at the time, there were like a lot, she was offering like a lot of Zoom classes and lectures, and I worked with the plant ancestors, and actually was working with Nigella Damascena. The flower essence she did that this series came through. I'm just enjoying like looking at like each, because like each page is really like each page is really its own like journey and stuff like that. So anyway, my friends were working at Tuliberg Press. Tule for the Tule Elks, which were the elks that like were all over the Central Valley in these lands. Like they used to cover the whole valley before they were like hunted by the same people that like genocided like by the settlers. They were genocided by the settlers. Drink some tea. Having a sip of tea for like my past selves, for the ancestors, for the land, for the Tule elk, for the Starflower, for all of the above. So I've gotten into the whole process of like what it meant to like make this. So like I scanned all of the prints and then printed them on like out on pages. And then I took to make a zine because I was like in some zine making workshop at Tuliberg Press. And I was like, oh, they were pretty on the page, but it was also like I didn't feel like it was the full effect, you know, because like each print when you like are with it, it's like a whole world. Even though it's like they're small, they're like intimate, they're like a whole world. And I feel like when I'm like making them and when I'm in them, it's like it's very immersive. And so to create like a book that was kind of like that immersive story, that's why I created like these block prints as I was also working with and like layered them. Look at this like star symbol with the trends. With like a trans symbol over it and the colors and more baraka 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 blessing, a like crescent moon star trans symbol like queer Muslim shit, you know, more protection. And so like you might be wondering like what is this even about? And that's like what I wanted to put in words when I like sat down to write the essay, which I'm actually gonna read some of it to you today. There's a dream I had that's here, as well as like an essay on layered cosmologies. My hands were fluent in the making of these works. Measure the paper, tear, stack the sheets together, sit down with water, paper towel, palette, and watercolor crayons. Start with a central blue evil eye pattern. Let the star emerge around it. Repeat. I worked quickly, intuitively. I let the color combinations flow naturally, as I have when working with previous watercolor series. I love choosing a set form and repeating it, letting the shades and variations emerge fluidly in the freedom of structure. This is the way I found I make best. Set the container, show up, trust. The work comes through. You know, damn, that's a good reminder for me, like 3 years later when things are just like, wah! Like just trust. Like I feel like that's like the medicine of like making like series and like making physical work is really just like you can't get like too caught up in the control of that whole situation. And actually when you're like, you kind of just like let it emerge, you make something that's like more beautiful than you can imagine. And like for me, that's the whole thing of like sacred creativity that like I practice and like get to share with folks sometimes, which is like, yeah, like all the creative stuff that we have is like gifts that we receive from like the star realms and the flower realms from earth, which we are of. Like our life, our bodies, and everything that we make is like a gift. It's something that is a gift that like most of us didn't even ask for, you know. And yet when we like say like yes to it and work with it and like tend life and like have those like practices of like cultivating, like, you know, the life around us and in us. Like, that's how gardens work. I'm looking at the blooms like outside that I can see right now. So yeah, as I say, my hands worked in embodiment and all the ideas of this piece, magically gathering all the thought threads developed in waking and dream worlds over the past year. But where my hands are fluent, my words and organized thinking are harder to coalesce. To be clear, I generally have no trouble articulating my thoughts and writing directly. However, the non-linear, layered, imaginative, symbolic thinking I can access through visuals are harder to bring together in the linear ways I've been trained to write. I feel that's because the images, narratives, and intersections that are so strongly linked to my knowing are not necessarily or are inherently or irrefutably reflected in the world at large, or related in the world at large is what I wrote. But, you know, I think going back to this, like, during shutdown pandemic times, I mean, we're still definitely in COVID pandemic, yani, like, stay safe out there, mask up, you know. But I really unmasked hella hard. I unmasked hella hard during the pandemic. I think a lot of the time in isolation with family or with like one of my ADHD lovers, because I think, you know, I'm ADHD, and I feel like most of the people I've been serious with have been ADHD as well. It's like a lot of the training I had, both from like college and just like masking in the world generally, it really just kind of like broke apart, and I really struggled socially, like for the period like throughout 2021 and 2022, when we started, like, you know, merging more in like social circles and stuff like that. And it was very challenging for me, like boundaries, communication, this and that, like and I didn't really realize until like later in 2022 with some of the reflections is, oh, it's because like I didn't know my whole life that like I was ADHD and like autistic, and that like that combined with like social trauma and stuff like that, that creating art was a refuge for me to be myself and to understand and articulate myself, but also like a way of just like cognitively processing, like cognitively, like I'm like a symbolic and spatial thinker, and like colors are really like big, and movement and gesture. That's one of the reasons like I'm a dancer, and when I couldn't dance and because of like shame stuff in the family, I would dance on the page and stuff like that. And yeah, I think I was like getting towards that there. Even if the ideas that I have, that they're not inherently related in the world, but I think that those interrelations are not actually reflected in the systems of the world around us, right? Like a lot of the things that we know to be true inside of us, or connections, or like knowings that we have or have been inherited, are not reflected in like the systems of domination and oppression and capitalism, and the value systems that are orchestrated by those things like around us. Like, and so sometimes like we have to protect our inner worlds, and find those who protect like the knowledge of accessing like our ancestral worlds, to find what's real for us. But I said that those things, they don't have to be related like for others, and they're personally meaningful to me, and they're beautiful, and that's why they've made such a beautiful and compelling series, not because it's rational. Isn't that how constellations work? We link stars into images and catch them with stories, as the bear, the seven sisters, Orion, heart of the swan, because these groupings are meaningful to people who live with them and love them, not because one star is actually next to another or even proximate in outer space. These stars aren't necessarily related. We bring them together by nature of our vantage point on Earth. Even on this globe, different cultures have seen different images and patterns in the stars. Meaning making is a creative response to specific needs and place. This Zuhra al-Baraka Starflower series is situated in my broader work of imaging a queer, trans-expansive cosmology for SWANA diaspora folks. I work transmuting inherited symbols and stories into a cosmology that holds me and my community and aids our movement towards liberation. That's my intention, at least. Returning to the star imagery, I hope to constellate some of the ideas that glitter in this work. And what shine? Blessings, ancestral and prophetic medicine, goddess cosmologies, Islam, the planet Venus, gender, transness, protection, and love. I have seed pods, and I might have a dried flower too, so let me check that really quickly. Let's see if we have the flower hidden here. This is my yucca baby. Yes! Okay, here's a dried. Flower of Nigella Damascena, which you can like tell if it's Nigella Damascena or Nigella sativa because the Damascena one, the one that's specifically like popular in our region, it has both blue and white flowers growing together. And in Huichun, in Oakland, this was growing in a neighbor's yard, and it's not growing there anymore. And that's another story. Story of gentrification. And I have some seed pods here. I found these seed pods when I biked to go buy this mic off Facebook Marketplace. And I saw them, the seed pods growing, and I was so happy because like I'm really excited to try growing them again. Isn't this cute? It's like, it reminds me of Dubke, the way they were holding hands. Okay. So yeah, I got 6 of these books, y'all. I got only 6 of them. So if you want it, yani, help me out. Help yourself out. Starflower, Zahra al-Baraka, we got Venus, we got, oh, this one here, like, some of these, like, all of these symbols are, like, have, like, their own story, too. So we could have, like, a story time for, like, each of the symbols. I feel like this one is very Ace of Cups-y right here, you know, like, yeah, this one is super Ace of Cups, you know, like a star reflected in the water above and a rose growing from it in the hands. This one, this was in a book of the Lays of Inanna, and I lent that book to someone and they never gave it back to me. So if you're watching this, you owe me a book of Inanna's Lays, okay? Because I like to read that shit aloud to myself. And yeah, of course the hand symbol, you know, the khamsa, protected. So they're like super, super precious. And that's why I want to invite y'all to check them out. Yeah. So much love. The stars shine on all of us. Radiant Shamsi, radiant starlight, radiant, blessed, blessed, blessed person watching this. Thank you. And until next time, happy Goddess Day.